Hello and welcome to our final step of our drawing guide. We've done a lot of stuff, but there's still one thing we have left to do, and that is the shadows, or to add shading to our drawing to help bring out the 3D effects of our character. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to come here to a layer above our Aurora layer, and we're going to add a new layer above that. Next, we are going to come to our opacity. I'm going to take a quick moment here and explain that when it comes to doing shading, this is when I use a lot more Photoshop tools. So if you're doing a drawing by hand or something, some of these things won't apply up front, but I hope you'll still find something useful to learn in here. Anyhow, continuing. Our opacity tools, or rather the opacity controls the light, the solidity of an object. Alright, so like if I come down here to our Aurora layer, if I reduce the opacity, she becomes transparent and we can see through her. We are going to be doing the same thing with our shadows, but we are going to be reducing them. Kind of the default I like to use is 40%. So next, come over here, and I'm going to grab my brush with a diameter 4 and soft edges. Alright. And then I'm going to zoom in, take my brush, have the color set to black, and just start filling in some areas. There's two main techniques I use to do in shadows. One is I'll fill in if it's something small like that. The other, and larger area, is I'll actually draw the outer edge of the shadow. I'll come here to Paint Bucket, and I'll check all layers. What this does is it makes it so the paint bucket is sensitive to every layer I have drawn, not just the current layer I have selected. Again, this is utilizing layering tools. I just click there, it fills in. Click a few times to get it to help fill out more. Come in here, clean up the rough edges. Come here, get down in the back. Alright. Now, when I do my shadows, one of the things I tend to do is I don't strictly actually follow any real shadows. I don't have a real light source. I use kind of the general rule, like which is the general direction the light might be in, or more importantly, how can I use my shadows to help make my characters look more 3D. So the shadow is stylized, really. I call it stylized shadowing. I think there's other terms for it, but I just don't know what they are. But yes, my shadow is not meant to follow the true rules of shading. It's just meant to kind of help bring out shapes. I used to try and follow more on actual shading rules. I did that in my earlier Grads comics, but with the Solace and Absolution books, I've decided to take a more stylized approach to it. Alright, so if we zoom out here, and we're just going to do a quick demonstration by looking at her head, we can see we got shadows under her neck, on the back of her ponytail, her hair. I'm missing some up here on her horn. And if I turn that off, so this is the before, and this is after. Brings it out a little bit more. We'll be doing that again as we finish up our drawing, but that's just an early sight. Now, some people like to do all the. There's different ways you can do that. Essentially, some people like to do all their outer shading work at once. I don't. I like to generally just take an area and focus in on that. Like, I'm kind of focusing in on the arm here. Now I'm going to move down to our favorite sensitive area. That just sounded really creepy. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Alright. Gonna come down here. Be mature. And yes, her chest does have shadows on it. I'm going really quiet, guys. I'm going really quiet because I don't want to talk right now. This is awkward. Just kind of going to use these to help bring out the shape, kind of the roundness. Kind of complete the directional lines we got going. Alright. We'll continue to fill this in. One of the things, when you start to do the shadows, especially if you do them the way I do, you're going to be up close and looking at your drawing a lot. So you're going to see things that you did wrong in your coloring. I'm going to take a quick, like right here. I'm going to take a quick moment to show you how to fix that, because when I do my actual work, I do take a break from shadowing to fix something while I'm looking at it. Because if I don't do that, then I'll forget about it. So I'm just going to grab the color of her shirt, come down to my Aurora layer, and set my paintbrush to behind. This means it'll paint behind any lines I have drawn on that layer. So I could just come here and just color in behind them. Get down in her sides as well. It's nice, quick, easy, and it doesn't bother you as much. That line's looking kind of wonky there, so I'm actually going to have to grab my hard brush, set to normal. And I'm just going to chew at it a little bit there. Help round that out. Going to come back up to my shadows. Select my shadow brush. And now I resume. It's quick, easy fix. Little attention to details that I'm sure no one else ever sees or would ever notice except me, because it's my drawing and I'm working on it. It's kind of funny. It's one of those things. It pays to have attention to detail, but at the same time, you have to wonder, does anyone else really notice these little things? But let's take a look at how that is. I'm not liking this one so much. It's feeling kind of big and heavy, so let's go ahead and come in and thin it out. That's looking better. And again, I'm just kind of feeling things out as I go along. I'm kind of using the rules of I'm shading her back more, so the light feels like it's coming this way, but I don't actually have a true light source out there that I got in mind. It's just kind of a rule of directions. Okay. One of the things I forgot to do up here is her collar of her jacket. Let's come down here and create a nice outer edge. Fill that in. Gotta get the belt. I see something wrong in the hand, so I'm gonna come down here, go behind, fix that, and I'm gonna go just hop back to my shading. This process typically isn't very long, but it's a process I like a lot. Ugh. Wrong time to say that. It's a process I enjoy quite a bit. The shading, because it really helps bring out kind of the final picture, I think, of your drawing. Well, the complete is what I should use for it. I'm trying to talk and kind of keep moving. So coming out a little clumsy in my speech right now. All right. Now, if I take care and try and fill in the layers, filled in, you're going to notice that I can't. It keeps closing up there. That's because of all the grass blades I have. So this is kind of when I would need to either turn off the grass or just go in and use the brush. If it was a big area, I'd probably turn off the grass, but it's just such a small area. I'll just go in by hand and do it. Kind of fill in the other side of her cleft thing of her hoof. I'm not sure what that's actually called. Alright, let's come up here again. One of the fun things about using a digital pen is when you just hit that, when you're just in the zone and you spot a mistake that you need to erase, just flip your pen or spin it, erase it, and spin it back. I just did that a moment ago. Just kind of like, woo! That's fun. Being in the zone is fun. You get a lot of stuff done in your drawings when you're working on it. Sorry about that. Go ahead and add some more shading down here. Now I guess it's behind the grass, so you really can't see it. It's just to kind of help, just the little things in there. Alright, zoom out, take a look. This looks like it's coming too far out on her knee. Let's go ahead and trim that back. And this doesn't look like it's coming out far enough. Let's go ahead and kind of make that more solid. Alright. Now normally also at the same time and on the same layer I'd add like a light reflection. Like I usually don't put stuff on her belt buckle. But because she's not wearing armor, I guess I will just... No, I won't. I won't do that this time. That looked kind of tacky. But I'd also on the same layer use that to put out kind of my light reflections. Oops. Still have my white selected. Come out in here. Probably shading the side of her face. Her head's looking still a little flat. Now, you might be wondering why am I putting shadow over the highlight of her hair there. It's mainly just a style thing. In some of my stuff I've left the highlight exposed and isolated, but more recently I've been covering it up. So yeah, that's just a styling thing again there. Her arm. That's what we are missing. Yeah, I'm missing stuff on her arm. Just kind of slowly building up the shadow a bit on the edge. Trying to. Now I'm cutting it back, trying to find the shadow that I like. Alright. Just gonna cut out the whole area. And then put some on her tail. Change the angling on this one a little bit. Get a bit down in here in her hands. Smooth that out. Let's add some up here on her shoulder. Alright. So this is a before, and this is after. Now the shadows do kind of seem to, I'd say, cover some of your line work, or so it looks. It doesn't make them quite as obvious, but that's okay. Alright, because what it does is help bring out, I guess you could say, the overall shape of your drawing. This is at 40%, but if I wanted to say do something like make the light source more intense, I could actually increase the opacity on my shadows, and I get harder shadows, which make it look like there is a really strong light source going on. I'll do this a few times in my comics to make things look more epic. Keep in mind, if you do that, it does little spots like around here and stuff that aren't quite filled in completely along the edges and stuff, will become more apparent. But that's in this case. Dropping it down back to 40. Not so obvious. Alright. Yeah, I can zoom in. And I suppose if you look really, really hard, you might be able to see something. I'm not even sure if anything's actually was there or not. But yeah. So this is a shadow in a drawing, but we also got shadow on the ground. So to do that, just go and come beneath my royal layer, add another layer. And for this, there's typically a technique I use where I used to have to try and draw out the shadow of something, but it's kind of difficult, so I'm just going to set that layer underneath, opacity to 40. I'll come here. Take a big brush with a big soft edge. And draw that out. Now I'm having some trouble with the grass because that's some of it that are arch above her feet. And this is where things get tricky. So I think I'm actually going to fix this by coming in here and cleaning up, removing some of that grass. Going to take my eraser, reduce the hardness, reduce the size, change the size of my brush a little bit, and I'm just going to take away stuff that isn't over the top of a hoof. Yep, I took way too much. Alright, let's turn this back up. Alright, come back here and keep drawing our shadows. And make sure I actually get the right shadow layer selected. Alright. So that's one way to try it. And as you can see, it's giving me a bit of problems. So I'm actually going to come in here, just delete that layer. And I'm going to take our handy dandy burn tool, increase the exposure on it. No, that's not working. Trial and error. Gotta pick something I like. So close to being done, and then I decided I had to go and mess up my drawing. Well, not mess up, but be indecisive with my shading. That doesn't look quite right. Just reduce that down to, yeah, kind of a nicer, smaller shadow. A bit easier to work with. Come here with the grass, and I'm just going to remove just that corner of it. Okay, good. Alright, after a bit of editing and tweaking, I finally have a drawing I'm happy with. So this is what we started with before, and this is what we have now. She looks more 3D-ish. She's got a shadow, there's a light source, and that's it. This marks the end of our tutorial. I know there's some stuff in here that I might not have covered, like how do I do mouths, how do I do the light reflection stuff, what about text and onomatopoeias. If you're interested in learning more about those, you can search around on Google, or you could leave me a comment, and I'll take a look at it and put together a quick little video for you. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned some stuff. I hope you found some stuff that was interesting. And I hope you continue to want to find stuff to become a better drawer. I mentioned this at the start, but it's a video channel that I like to use when learning new techniques. It's called Draw with Jezza. And I find that he's a pretty good instructor. And there's all sorts of fun things you can learn there. So thank you for watching. Thanks for putting up with all of these videos, and have a nice day.